So is China communist, socialist, capitalist, or something else altogether? I've seen a lot of really interesting, a lot of really bad takes on this. So first and foremost, China is not capitalist. The business owners and the big corporations are kept separate from the levers of control in government and in society. A great example of what this looks like in practice is the recent housing bubble that popped in China. It is very similar in a lot of ways to the one that happened in the West in 2008, but with very different government responses. As I'm sure you all remember, 2008, the housing bubble popped and the entire financial sector collapsed. And what did the U.S. do? They bailed out the bankers and basically sold all of the working class Americans out, threw us under the bus. In China, when there was a much smaller but similar housing market collapse a few years back, what was the government response? They let the institutions which caused it fail and instead did their best to bail out the individuals, the homeowners, working class people who had invested in those projects which were no longer going to come to fruition. In addition, in America, no one was ever held criminally or civilly responsible for gambling with our entire economy. Whereas in China, these kinds of reckless behaviors will often be punished severely. So does that mean China is communist? Also, no, right? If you don't know, communism is a form of economic systems in which there is no state. So that means no government, no classes, no division between the people. So fundamentally, that's the end goal of socialism. And so is China socialist? Yes. All of the policies and laws and social systems in place are to move the country on the path towards communism. So that means that while there are still markets, there's also still government and strict regulations in place on those markets to make sure that essentially profits never come at the expense of society or the working class or the people that live here in China. That means critical resources and national infrastructure like telecoms, those are always going to be state owned. And any privately owned corporation which gets too big and has too outsized of an influence, they're probably going to have a government stake taken in the company. Obviously, that's as simple as I could possibly make it, but there's the answer.